Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing super well and staying safe in these tough times. In today's video, we are going to talk about national income and basic some of its basic elements that we need to know before going into the calculations and getting onto the numericals. So national income is nothing but it very simply means that you are calculating the monetary value of all the goods and services that are produced by your country. It very simply measures the monetary value of all the final goods. All right. Now, of course, national income is a very important concept, and hence it becomes utmost importance for us to understand some of its basic elements. And no better than this day is good to talk about GDP, because yesterday only we have got some high level estimates of the Indian GDP for the financial year 2020-2021. So let's talk about GDP as the first element of calculating the national income. So GDP, it's a very hyped word and one of the most searched word on YouTube and Google as well. So GDP stands for gross domestic product, which simply captures the monetary value of all the final goods and services produced in the domestic territory of the country in any accounting year. All right, so this is the bookish definition, but just try to keep in your mind in a very simpler way that for any country A, your GDP is nothing but if there are five final goods available, then it simply captures the monetary value of those five goods plus the services produced in that country A if there are any kind of people present. Now, there's one more important concept that we need to cover and which I've highlighted is the concept of domestic territory. What do we mean by this particular thing? Why it becomes important for us to specifically mention this particular term in the definition? Because a country can have several counterparts available in different regions. For example, there's somebody who's native of India but is working in the United States. So whether his or her income or the services that is produced by this particular person, whether are is it going to be counted as a part of GDP? Yes or no? Let's look into the next four pointers. So when we say domestic territory, it simply the first pointer which simply mentions that when we say the country or the borders of the country, it simply means the political frontiers or the territorial borders of that country plus the territorial waters. So all the seas, all the water bodies that falls in our country that also are the part of your country when we evaluate the GDP. The second is the ships and aircrafts that are operated by the residents of the country between two or more countries. For example, there's a aircraft which is operated between India and let's say another country XYZ. So if this aircraft is even if it is presented in let's say Pakistan or Bangladesh or Afghanistan or any country XYZ, but if it is manufactured in India, if it is operated by the residents of the country, that particular thing or that particular the salary given to that pilot, the services that are produced by the aircraft, all these things will be counted as the GDP of our country. The third is the fishing vessels and the oil rigs that are operated by the residents of our countries even in the international waters, because the operation of those fishing vessels or the persons who are operating that, if they belong to the country XYZ, they are getting the salary, and since they are based in India, it will be counted in the your country XYZ. And finally, the embassies that are operated in the different countries. So every country have several embassies which is actually operated by the people of those particular countries. For example, even in India, we do have several embassies based on several embassies of different regions, different countries, and these embassies are actually operated or these embassies are actually functional by the people of those particular countries. So if there's an embassy of United States, there are people working from the United States, so their income or whatever they are earning, whatever services they are producing, that will be counted as a part of United States GDP. That will not counted as a part of Indian GDP. With this, I think we are good with the theoretical concept. We now know what is national income. One of its major elements is nothing but is the gross domestic product. Now, of course, this financial year, especially the 2020-2021, we've been hearing about this buzzword. And of course, it's not a very good year because we have seen some economic pressures on the country because of COVID. There were certain lockdowns because of which most of the economic activities were kind of stopped. And of course, what it resulted in the fall down in the GDP growth rate. So a lot of people have actually asked us on several video platforms and on several, or even on the Google, people have actually searched that GDP, as you're saying, that if it is the monetary value, how and why we do measure it as a percentage, why we say it is falling down by 7.3%, it is increasing by 4%. um, because every time, even in the book, we heard this definition, we read this definition, that it is the value, it is the final value, or it is the monetary value of all the final goods and services. So why, while talking or while presenting the financial health of a country, why do we mention it as a percentage? So there's no specific reason, it's just that your percentage shows that how your country is doing from your versus the previous year. All right. So if we look at into the second table, so in the second table we see that in 2015-2016 your GDP increased by 8%. So let's say in 2014-2015, if your GDP was 100 rupees, in 2015-2016 it became 108. In 2016-2017 it is further increased by 8.3%, then 7%, then 6.1%, then it increased by 4.2%. These all are the actual figures. But for 2020-2021, the forecast or by several institutions that in 2020-2021, your GDP is expected to fall down by 7.7%. All right. And here you will see the actual value of the GDP, per capita GDP. So per capita GDP is nothing but it is your gross domestic product of that particular country divided by the entire population. So it basically on a rough level reflects the per capita or per person's gross domestic product. All right, but you still cannot say that every person is, contributing this much to the GDP. There are people who are not even earning this much. There are people who are below the poverty line, but it's on an average, where you show that per capita GDP is something like that. And how your per capita GDP is calculated, it is your total GDP divided by the country's population for that particular year. But generally, in all the accounting terms, in all the financial reporting, you prefer highlighting this GDP, because just keep in mind your GDP is one of the measures that is used to capture the financial health of any economy, the financial health of any country. If you want to look upon how this country's economy is doing, just reflect on its national income or GDP, how it is growing, if it is if it is not growing, what are the factors that led to any kind of decline. So in the coming videos, we will also be seeing about why India's GDP has fallen down to 7.7%, because we have been seeing a very good increase. So what happened, like back in 2017-2018, because this growth rate actually started falling, because 8.3 is a good increase, but then this rate of increase has also fallen down. So in the coming videos we will also be looking into these elements. With that, I'll be closing today's video. Thank you so much for uh, watching my videos. Thank you so much for subscribing. I will request all the viewers to further subscribe my channel. Please share these videos with your friends and aspirants and like the video. Please do comment in case if you have any doubts, in case if you want to have certain questions, not may or may not be related to this particular video. If you have any kind of doubts in economics, please feel free to write in the comment section and we'll try answering that as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll meet in the next video. Thank you.